don't lose hope. There's always hope. As long as you have hope, you can overcome anything. You know, I forgot that for a very long time. Yeah, you guys have the worst traffic in America, don't you, pretty much?
Oh, yeah. In and out lines are way too damn long. So people who are like, oh, man, I hate California. It's like, sick, get out.
Right?
Go move somewhere else then. These freeways are way too crowded and in and out takes way too long. So does Starbucks. So I'm not tripping.
What is the burger joint out there? Is it I know Whataburger's like the Midwest. What's up where you're at?
We have Geno's.
Okay.
Five Guys and Fries.
Okay.
That's a real big one around here. But there's no like way back. We have Way Back Burger. That's a really good place too.
All right.
Have you ever had In and Out?
No, but I've heard about it everywhere.
Okay. It's like the East Coast. What's the East Coast?
White Castle.
White Castle.
White Castle. They're all closed down around here now.
I've never had White Castle.
Yeah. The owner passed away a couple of years ago, and I guess he sold them. So there's no more White Castles around here at all.
No,
that sucks.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll never know.
Are we planning to go to Maryland?
I mean, yeah, we can go to the East Coast.
All right. Well, I've never been to Maryland. I'm down.
Shit, come on down, man. We'll hang out with Novak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. We'll go down here. We'll go down and hang out with him, go to Recovery House, have a meeting.
You know, he and I talked about that. We were gonna do some kind of episode in one of his recovery houses or in the recovery house. And it's still in the works. You know, we just haven't, you know, it's been busy. We've been literally our second home is Los Angeles. So we're going again next week. And then it's just crazy busy, but it's
house. It's up next week.
Right on.
I actually drove out there last night and took a table to the guys. Because I live in Maryland, and his mom found it on, I don't know, through a church or something. So he called me. He's like, "Hey man," he said, "Can you help me out?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "Can you bring me a table?" I was like, "Where?" He's like, "Delaware." I was like, "Okay." It's about an hour and 20 from my house. But man, after what he did for me, man, driving an hour and 20 minutes for a good cause to be able to give him a table where a bunch of people are going to sit around and talk sobriety and live recovery, man, it was a no-brainer. I had to do it for him.
Yeah, for sure.
So what, for people that didn't pick up, but talk about Brandon Novak, what is it that Brandon did for you? What are you referencing?
So I actually grew up with him. I've known him since elementary school.
Wow.
Yeah, we were on the same skateboard team here in Maryland. And we used to skate all the time, me, him, and Bucky, and a guy named Matt Martin, which is he was a really big Maryland guy here. And, you know, on and off through my alcohol and drug addiction, we've always kept in contact. I mean, in high school, I'd have huge parties and he'd come to my house and we'd all just get smashed. And he's got 6 years this year. So 4 years ago, when he had 2 years clean, he was in Maryland. He said, "Hey man, what you doing?" I said, "Man, I'm drinking a lot. I'm not doing good." He's like, "Meet me at this meeting down the street." So I went and met him at a meeting, and then we went out to lunch. And the whole time he tried to talk to me about recovery and getting into a rehab, and I just wasn't having it at the time, man. I was like, I wasn't ready. I didn't want to get up and go, and to me, I really wasn't at that time willing to go to a rehab. I was like, "Man, I got it. I'm only drinking 6 to 10 beers a day. I'm going to work. You know, everything's good to go." And then, so he came to my house and he's sitting there talking to me. He goes, "Man, I got the phone right here." He said, "I'll call Banyan right now and I'll get you into a treatment center." And I'm sitting there drinking a beer. And I'm like, "No, I'm good. You know, I don't need this right now." He's like, "Tim, it's only going to get worse, man." So in March of last year, actually, sorry, the end of February, it had gotten really bad, man. I've been drinking since, you know, high school, since my senior year in high school. I didn't really do much drugs in high school. I smoked pot, but my big thing was drinking on the weekends, man. And from high school, I went right into the Marine Corps, and that's all we fucking did was drink. I mean, we went training, we got off, we had Friday to Sunday, and we smashed beers like it was our second job. And so I've been drinking since 94, sorry. So in February of this past year, I had just gotten a new truck. I was leaving the house. I backed into my fucking neighbor's car, and I took off. I didn't say nothing. I don't think they still know about it, actually, but they might now. And I went out, and I went to the liquor store, and I got some Fireball miniatures, and I was leaving the liquor store, and I hit something. And I honestly still do not know what I hit. And I came home, and I parked the truck. I was like, I'm going to bed. And she's like, okay. So the next morning I woke up, and I said, I'm going to get some milk and something to drink. And she goes, how are you going to do that? And I was like, in my truck. She's like, the one you just bought? I was like, yeah. She goes, go look at it. So I went out to the driveway, and the whole right side of my truck's all smashed up. Tires flat, side mirrors hanging off. And she looks out the window. She goes, you have no idea what you hit, do you? And I said, I really don't. And she said, Tim, something's got to stop now. She said, you're going to kill yourself or somebody else. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Had a guy come out and fix my tire. And front of my end truck was still smashed up. But as long as I could drive, I was good. So she's like, look, you can't stay here. She's like, you got to figure this out. So called my buddy, and he's like, man, you can come over here and hang out for a little bit. You can spend the night, a couple nights. So I went over to his house, and that day he's like, hey, man, you want to go to the bar and go get some wings and some beers and stuff? I was like, hell yeah, let's go. So we go, and some beers turn into shots. And then he's like, let's go to my buddy's house. We'll hang over there and go party some more. I'm like, okay, cool. So on the way to his buddy's house, I come to a red light, and it turns green, and I hit the gas, man, because I was drinking, and I got a pretty sweet truck, man. I got like 450 horsepower. I got a turbo in it. And like, I hit the gas, man. I took off. And I rear-ended the guy in front of me.
Oh, shit.
And I get out, and I'm drunk at this point, and I get out, and I look at the guy. I'm like, you okay, man? He goes, yeah, I'm good. And I look at his car, and honestly, I don't remember it having any damage, but the front of my truck was all messed up. And I was like, you're good? He goes, yeah. I said, your car's good? He goes, yeah. I said, I'm out. See ya. I jumped back in my truck, and I took off. And ended up staying at my buddy's house for another day or two. Well, I come home and take a shower and start eating, and my wife come home from work, and she's like, you can't be here. She's like, this is too much. She's like, did you see the front of your truck? I was like, yeah. And I lied to her. I said, I didn't know what I hit. Because you hit two things in 2 days. I was like, I don't know. I don't remember. She goes, you got to go. So at this point, I called my mom, and you know things are bad when you call your mom and she says, you can't come there.
Yeah.
So she's like, Tim, I'm sorry. She's like, I don't want you here right now the way you are. You have to figure it out. So I go and I sleep in my truck for 2 days at a park and ride. And this is the end of February in Maryland. It's cold. It was about 30, 40 degrees. And I had turned my phone off for 2 days. And I just sat in my truck drinking whiskey. And I turned my phone on at 7 after 10 in the morning on a Friday morning. And at 9 after 10, the phone rings. This is 2 minutes after turning my phone on after 48 hours. And it was Brandon.
Huh.
He's like, Lodgen, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, I'm sitting in my truck. I'm cold. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm drunk. He said, good, motherfucker. That's what you need. He's like, I just talked to your wife and your mother. We have a plane ticket set for you at 8 o'clock this evening. You're going to go down to West Palm Beach, Florida, Banyan Treatment Center, and you're going to go get help. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm done. He's like, call me when you get to the airport and call me when you get past security. I said, okay, man. So my mom drove me to the airport. I get through security and I sit down and I'm in the seats and I'm waiting, and I call him. I'm like, hey, man, I'm past security to check my bags in. I'm waiting for the plane. I got about 45 minutes. He said, okay. He said, Tim, this is the best decision you have made in the last 27 years. And I promise you, you'll get back everything 10 times fold that you've lost. He said, I love you, man. Good luck. And I hung up the phone. And what happened next was the most amazing feeling I've ever got in my life, man. Because before all of this, man, you know, I was suicidal. I had bipolar. So instead of taking my medicines throughout the year, I drank and drugged. And I was sitting there and I hung up the phone with Brandon, and this calm feeling came over my body. And something said, everything's going to be all right. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if, you know, a higher power was speaking to me. All I know is I've never had that feeling before in my life. All the hopelessness and despair and depression was lifted. It was like, damn, man, like this is where I need to be in my life at this time to make the change that I need to save my life. And I used to believe in coincidences, like, oh yeah, it just happened for a reason. But the fact that my phone was off for 2 days, he called me 2 minutes after I turned it on, and I get to rehab, and the doctors take my levels, my blood enzymes, my liver enzyme, my kidneys, and the guy looks at me and he goes, "You're 45 years old." He's like, "Your kidney and liver enzymes are 4 times what they should be."
Oh,
He's like, "If you have continued to drink like this for the next 2 to 3 years," he said, "you would not make 50." He said, "much less 48 years old." Luckily, I had caught it in time to where I was able to reverse the damages. That put me on medicines to help with my enzymes and stuff. But when I left there, I did a 32-day treatment. When I left there, all my levels were normal. My blood pressure had come down. My blood pressure was 157 over like 130. He said, "You are literally on the verge of having a stroke or a heart attack." Everything went back to normal. My liver, my kidneys, my blood pressure. I was 215 pounds when I went there. I got down to 192 when I walked out that door, back healthy again. It just, for him lending his hand out to me, he knew how desperate I was.
yeah.
Before my wife kicked me out, she had found me in the basement with a rope around my neck, standing on a bucket. And she came around the corner, and I was in the laundry room, and she said, "What in the hell are you doing?" And I said, "I can't do this anymore." I said, "I can't. I just want the pain to go away." And she looked me in my eyes and said, "Tim, please get down. Do you know what this will do to your children and everybody that loves you? Please get down. We'll figure this out." Got down, and I sat there and I cried for about 10 minutes in a ball, just looking up to the air and being like, "Please help me. I need help. I can't do this alone. Please, like, help me." And I got that phone call from Brandon. There's no coincidences, man. All that stuff happened for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm truly grateful for people that love and care about me. My wife, I put that woman through so much stuff, lying, cheating, stealing. And one day I asked her, I said, "Why do you stick around?" And she said, "Tim, I love you." She said, "And I know this isn't you." She said, "I know there's a better person inside of you, and I know you can be that person again, but you need to get help, and you can't do this by yourself." So, I was an athlete my whole life, man. And, I was in the Marines, and my ego was huge. And I was broken down to nothing. I didn't want to leave the house. My depression had taken over. I wasn't taking my bipolar medicine. So I was either way up or extremely low, or some days I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't take a shower for a month. I didn't care. And I was always somebody that was always well put together and look at me kind of a guy. And I didn't care about anything. And that hopeless feeling that took over my body was the worst feeling that I've ever felt in my entire life.
Yeah, I don't think many
and
people
I don't
understand that desperation.
Man, it's debilitating. It truly is. And I have 3 beautiful daughters, and I actually have a grandson now. And for my daughters to see their father, who was, this larger than life kind of a guy that, I was a mixed martial arts fighter for 6 years. I was a professional fighter for 6 years, and I was on TV, and I fought a bunch of local circuits. I never made it, like UFC or anything like that. But I fought XFE and some Virginia tournaments, and they were used to seeing me on local television and going to the store, and people were like, "Hey man, I saw you on TV," kind of like a local kind of a celebrity kind of thing. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My head a little big, but for them to see me from that to not showering, not changing, not shaving, not wanting to go to work, not wanting to clean the house, not wanting to do anything. I can't imagine a child seeing their parent like that. And I'm so blessed to had the help that Brandon was so ready and eager to extend his hand out to help me. It's the mental issue of the bipolar, the depression, the anxiety, the panic attacks. I always didn't want to deal with it. They told me I had bipolar when I was 15 or 16 years old. I was in high school. And I chalked it up to my senior year. 6 of my friends committed suicide.
Shit.
And it made the local paper around here. And I was like, I'm just dealing with all this. My friends are killing themselves. And I'll just drink and I'll smoke pot or I'll take some acid and just not deal with any of this stuff.
Yeah. And
I sure as hell wasn't taking my medicine because I'll be honest with you, I kind of like the ups and the downs. I like going 100 miles an hour. And I didn't like the crashes too much, but man, when I was up and I was doing some crazy shit. Now that I've been on my medicines and I've been sober, the balance I have between my emotions is something I never could imagine. I'm able to deal with things that come my way in a calm manner. I'm able to collectively look at the situation and come up with a solution rather than a problem. Rather than, I can't do it because it's how am I going to do this? What am I going to do now to take care of this? And I was thinking about it yesterday. It's like that snowball that starts at the top of the mountain. And by the time it gets down, it's as big as a house.
Yeah.
When all you had to do is pick up that snowball and crush it in your hand, I allowed everything to get so big. It was just taking over everything and crushing everything around me.
Talking on the bipolar and I loved that high. I was huge on that high for whatever thing it was. And I definitely found every little thing like, this relationship doesn't have any more. I'll go find a new girl or, I'll switch from tequila to whiskey or whatever, right. Whatever stupid thing we do. But
that does make a difference though.
I switched from IPAs to drinking straight up whiskey.
Yeah, right. Let's just get shithoused quicker,
That's exactly what it was.
I always love the people like, dude, can't you just have one? Why the fuck would you do that when you can have 20? Yeah. Why are you half-assing it? Let's go.
What? If I'm going to drink, I'm drinking.
But you talk a lot about your daughters and with your wife. I'm curious, was there with the treatment you got aftercare that involved the family with therapy and really working through the process with you?
My daughter, my oldest daughter is 23, 14, and 10. My oldest daughter actually has bipolar as well. She's a spitting image of me, but a female. She saw the blunt of everything, my ups, my downs, my drinking, my anger, outrages. Thank God I was never physical to anybody in my family, but I sure as shit said some stuff that you would not want to say to a stranger, much less to people that you love. Yeah. So I definitely hurt them verbally. She had gone to counseling for years, and a majority of her issues was because of her drunk father. My wife has not gone to counseling. She's one of these people that hasn't been to the doctor in 15 years for anything, and she'd have to be dying or an eyeball falling out for her to go to a doctor. I've asked her, I said, hey, go to Al-Anon, go talk to a psychiatrist. We can do family therapy. And she's like, I don't like talking to strangers. I don't like telling people I don't know, my darkest, deepest secrets. She said, I'll leave that to you. You can do that. And I enjoy speaking. It helps me just as much as it helps anybody else because it gets the shit off my chest as well.
Yeah.
So, we have talked, we've had long conversations. When I first came back, I had a journal that I wrote in rehab, and I was reading it a million miles an hour. Like it was almost like a bipolar high. I was like, listen to this and listen to this and listen to this. She's like, whoa. She's like, you don't have to tell me your whole month in rehab in 10 minutes. You just walked in the door. She's like, we can take our time and go over this, and we can discuss things that you've done, things that I've done to you. Because it went both ways.
Sure.
On a professional level, no, she has not gone and seen anybody. My daughter has. My middle daughter and youngest daughter, man, it kind of like just went in one ear and out the other. They've been fine the whole time since I've been here. I contribute after their adolescence, maybe because they're children. There's a little bit easier for them to roll off. But my oldest daughter's an adult. You know what I mean? Now she's a mother, so it hits her a lot harder than my other two children.
Yeah, understandably. Yeah, I have a 13 and 12-year-old, and my daughter will communicate a little bit more. My son's on the autism spectrum, but her and I've talked about it, and she has some recollections, but the things that she does recall, that those personal things. So I've just made sure that it's available, so I was curious about that. Like, if you want to talk to someone other than me, but I'm always here to listen. And so we've gotten closer because of it, with that. And so it's definitely driven that bond. So thank you for sharing. I was really curious, and figured that would be really helpful for people to understand that, when the addict comes back, the dynamic changes within the family, because, they're accustomed to Tim one way, and here he is totally different person. So I was curious what that transition back into the home really entailed.
Yeah. And, as somebody with bipolar and addiction, when I came back, I wanted everything fixed like that. I was like, screw time. Like, I just went to rehab for 32 days. Look at me. Everything's good together. Well, I forgot about the 27 years of drinking and all the turmoil and things I put my family through. And I got 9 months on Sunday coming up. Last week is the first time my daughter texted me since I've been home from rehab.
Wow.
She lives in my house with my grandson upstairs. It's not like I don't see her. It's the first time she texts me. And I text her. I say, hey, I'm going to be on a podcast about recovery and mental illness. And she said, that's great, Dad. I'm really proud of you. And dude, that for me, that communication was incredible. Yeah. And then 10 minutes later, I get another text from her. She said, Dad, I just want you to know how proud I am of you and that I love you. And then I appreciate you giving me the space to heal, because I know you're healing as well. And over time, I would love to work on our relationship again. That right there, you can't put a price on that.
Yeah, no.
That is something that I wanted immediately, but now that I've learned patience and humility and acceptance, nothing happens overnight. And she had to see me put in the work. She had to see me going to meetings. She had to see me reading the AA book. She had to see my actions put into work, not words coming out of my mouth. Yeah. And it's finally, I can see things finally coming together. It's amazing.
Boy, I didn't think I was going to almost cry today, Tim, but you got that out of me. Shit, man. Thanks.
So Tim, when you said you were, you grew up kind of skateboarding and stuff like that, right? Yeah. You skateboard for a good amount of time. When you started partying, you said your senior year of high school, was skateboarding at all influence, or was it just young, dumb, and partying, just house parties?
As soon as I started partying, I stopped everything.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I'm a little bit younger than you. You got a couple more years on me, but my era of skateboarding was like Baker 2G and drunk Andrew Reynolds and drunk Jim Greco and all that. So I was wondering, like, if that played any role.
Damn, you made me feel old. I grew up on the original Bones Brigades.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Bobby Mullen and Frankie Hill.
Oh yeah. You
know what I mean? So they're all my age and a little bit older. So that's who I grew up with. And like I said, I mean, Bucky literally lived like 10 minutes from my house. Nice. Brandon lived 3 streets away from me. So I got to grow up with these guys and skateboard with them. I boxed in middle school and high school. I was a Golden Glove boxer. Mm-hmm. I skateboarded for 6 years. I was on a couple local teams. As soon as I started drinking and smoking pot, I stopped every single extracurricular activity. I was focused on hanging out with my friends and partying.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the reasons that drove me to join the Marine Corps, because my senior year, a lot of my friends were starting to get addicted to heroin and pills and some more heavier stuff. And I just wanted to smoke pot, drink beer, and take some LSD and like just kind of be like a hippie kind of a guy. And I was like, man, you sniff coke or you do heroin? I was like, man, I don't even know where to get that shit, man. Like, and I saw my friends going down that road.
Right.
And my grades weren't really good enough to get into college, but I knew I didn't want to go down the road that those guys were going into. And all the gentlemen in my family, my father and my my grandfathers, my brothers, my uncles, they all went in the military. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to be them. I'm going to go join the Marine Corps. I did that. And the first 9 months I was in the Marines, I didn't drink because we did a bunch of training. I went to schools. But as soon as I got down and I was in the fleet, I was there Monday through Friday. And as soon as Friday was done and we had leave, well, I mean, there was nothing else to do but go to titty bars, get tattoos, and go drinking. Right. So that's what we did, man. And we did it to excess.
Yeah. I had a cousin.
Tattoos, titties, and tequila.
That's it, man.
The 3 T's of military life, huh?
And it's funny, outside of every Marine Corps base, you look, it's a motel, a titty bar, a tattoo parlor, and then a fucking church. Like,
they know what they're doing, man. They know what they're doing. Those businesses are like the Marine. Oh yeah, we got to get some girls over here.
Right.
Reminds me of San Francisco. It's the same way.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, you get the tattoo shop, the titty club, the church, and then like the chicken or Chinese food place. It's just
you gotta have a place to eat.
That's like Hollywood without the churches. But yeah, tattoo shop, smoke shop, bar. You know what I mean? That's
like here it is, guys. Oh shit. So it makes me want to talk about having a family lineage of military service. Which thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
It makes me wonder then what was childhood like? Was it a stringent home, mom and dad both present, or was there kind of a history of alcoholism too?
Neither one of my parents drank or did drugs. My father was a police officer for 36 years. He would drink as a normal person on the weekends or at family events or functions. He actually, him and my mom divorced when I was about 6 or 7 years old. I was in 1st or 2nd grade. So he had kind of dipped out on us. So my mother basically raised me and my older brother. My brother is 10 years older than me. So he was already in high school when I was still in elementary school.
Right.
But he had left. And my mother, the year that he left, she became a professional bodybuilder.
Oh, wow.
And, she was a bodybuilder for 10 years. And so I grew up with all these big, huge guys coming around my house and my mom posing and working out and eating correctly and working 2 jobs. So she basically, I watched her become my father and my mother.
All right.
She went from making $10,000 a year, working side jobs, to becoming a vice president of a company, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and being very successful, all while putting herself through college.
Yeah.
While taking care of me and my brother.
That's freaking awesome.
So, I contributed a lot of my bipolar and mental issues to not growing up with a father. There was a lot of times, and I told my mother this and she kind of disagreed with me. I was like, well, it's my life. I mean, this is how I'm perceiving it. But there was a lot of times my dad would call and be like, I'm coming to get you. We're going to hang out for a weekend. And I would sit at the front door with my bags packed and he wouldn't show up. So for me, I was like, what's wrong with me? Did I cause them to get a divorce? Am I the problem? You stuck around till my brother was 16, 17, and I was only 6 or 7. Am I the reason did I break up our family? But as I grew older, and even up until my late 30s, I blamed my father for a lot of my issues. I really, truly did. That's because I didn't want to look at myself. I didn't want to accept the fact that it doesn't matter where you come from, what your parents are. You're the one that makes the choice, and you're the ones that makes your decision on how you live your life. So it's only up until a couple of years ago I just finally accepted, my dad's who he is. I get my ego and my self-centeredness and my love for women from him, which I found out, which is actually the reason why he left. He liked women too much. And it had nothing to do with me at all.
Right.
I thought it was all me, which is that look at me kind of thing. It was all because of me. It had nothing to do with me at all. He loved me. He just wanted to go a different path in life.
That's funny. You and I share a similar defect there for sure. And the drinking did not help. It took the gentleman right the fuck out of me real quick.
Oh, dude. As soon as I started drinking, I'd start thinking about my childhood and why my dad left and why things weren't messed up and why I wasn't doing in school. And it was all me. I just compounded everything times 10.
Well, it's important to remove that blame. I'm glad that you shared that. So what was there any kind of like work that you really put into that? I've had a couple friends reach out and they're like, my childhood. And I tell them, you don't get to blame your childhood for your adult life. Well, my emotions. Okay. Let your emotions control you. That's a wonderful thing to do, that we stop as toddlers, that we try to parent that out, So how was it for you? Like really confronting that and removing the blame and taking a look at Tim in the mirror?
I finally did that in rehab.
Yeah.
So at 44 years old, I just turned 45 in June. So in rehab in March,
June what?
June 6th.
June 23rd.
Okay.
Keep going. Sorry. Gemini and Cancer. I'm on the cusp.
Okay.
There's like
so my mom's 28th.
Oh, my mom's the 19th. She's a Gemini.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a wonderfully sweet lady, but definitely don't mess with her.
Yeah, she's Mexican too, so she's hella mean. So if I were to step out, she would throw the shoe at me.
My mom's Italian, so I get that.
Same boat. Same story, different chapter.
German, so my dad's got the German anger. He didn't come here to the United States until he was 18, so he's like literally German.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
mine's Polish.
So my whole father's side of the family's all from Germany. When they used to come over, they would all speak German. I didn't know what the hell they were saying. But it was pretty cool knowing I had family in Germany and family in Italy.
Yeah.
That is cool.
So I've never visited either one of those places. I would love to see where my father grew up and my grandparents, my aunts and my uncles, and vice versa in Italy. Maybe one day I'll be able to do that.
Yeah. Italy is amazing. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Well, we were.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, you're good.
We were talking removing the blaming others.
So in rehab, we had a bunch of different classes that we had to do, and one of them was self-reflection and our emotions. And when they broke it down into like blaming others and not taking responsibility for your past, I finally started to realize that I'm the one in control of my emotions. I'm the one in control of, will I allow that situation to determine my future? I always look back at my childhood and blamed it on that. It wasn't until I was around a bunch of group-minded people that were all going through similar situations, whether our addictions were different or our mental illnesses were different. We all had a common bond that we didn't deal with our situation properly. We didn't look at what was making us drink or drug. And I blamed it on bipolar for a while too, but you know what? That's the card I was given. I got bipolar. I have a disconnection in my chemical imbalance. Okay, it is what it is. But I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to take the medicine. I learned there that, alcohol and addiction is a byproduct of our mental illness. And I was never taking care of my mental illness properly. I would take medicines for a year or two, but I'd be drinking or drugging on top of it. And that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
My perspective of my life completely changed when I was in the rehab. The first couple of days I was there, I wanted to be there. Don't get me wrong, but I was homesick and, it was kind of hard getting used to the rules. But after the first 4 or 5 days and we started compounding, we did 7 classes a day. And then at 7:00 at night, we'd have an outside speaker coming in. And when those outside speakers came in and told me their story about their lifelong addictions, of how, some of them, their parents beat them. Their parents, locked them in closets. Their parents did drugs in front of them. I started to realize my childhood was not that bad. Mm-hmm. My father left, and that's pretty much about it. My mother raised me the best that she could, and she did a hell of a job. So what was I holding on to all these years that was allowing me not to be the person that I should have been? And it was all up in here.
Yeah.
It was myself telling myself, these are the reasons why you're not successful. These are the reasons why you're sad. These are the reasons why you're not happy, or, you're not living your life to the fullest. I allowed myself to believe the thoughts I was telling myself. When they told us that we all live in this cage and we are actually the ones holding the keys, and the first time they said it, I was like, that fucking doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? So like, you've lived in this secluded cage your whole life. It's time to let go of the things that have brought you into this rehab center. You cannot move forward while looking in the past. You know, that's why the windshield's so big and the rearview mirror is so small. You can't drive forward while looking behind you. And I finally started to let go of so many things that I believed brought me down. That was a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. You know, I let go of the fact that my father left me. I realized it wasn't my fault. I was started to be thankful for my wife not leaving me when she sure as shit should have many, many times. I started to be grateful for having my children. You know, I was always, man, why don't I have a Porsche 911 Turbo Carrera? Why don't I have $1 million house? That doesn't matter. I have a beautiful family. I have 3 beautiful children. I have a beautiful wife. And I have a home. I have a job. I have a vehicle. I have my health back. Those are the only things that matter to me now. You know, I was all the monetary things that I thought mattered and made me a man. It has nothing to do with my mental wellness. I'm so blessed to have what I have and grateful for what I have now. I don't have that weight of that stuff on me anymore. It allows me to focus more on my sobriety, my family, my health. I read the AA book. I've read it 7 times in 9 months. The first couple times I was like, man, I don't know.
Sounds familiar.
But the more times I read it, the more times I pick up something would stick out to me. I'd relate more to it. And I'd be like, holy shit, I'm a straight up alcoholic. I get this. I have been psychotic before. I've had manic episodes while drinking where I threw shit around the house, where I told my wife, I'll fucking kill you. I don't have that rage anymore. I don't have that anger, that despair. You know, they talk about getting that psychic change, and I believe I've had it. You know, I used to like that highs and lows of bipolar. I don't want to touch that anymore. I like being calm and mellow and just go with the flow kind of a thing. My wife will tell you now, I can't get you to argue. Like, I could be yelling at you in your face, pointing my finger at your face, and you're just like, okay, yep, okay. How can we solve this? Because that's all I want to do is I just want to solve things and move on. I don't want to make things worse and compound our issues or our problems anymore. Where before I would get off on that. She'd start yelling, I'd yell at her. You know, she'd point in my face, I'd point back. You know, I'd raise up and get into her face. And I kind of got off on that. And that's just, I'm done.
Yeah.
That is left.
Yeah, that fucking toxicity, man. It's a real thing, and people, you know, they discount, especially when it comes to interpersonal relationships and how real it is, you know.
Absolutely.
But I know what you mean. Like for me, I've noticed, you know, as more time goes on, the things that seem so damn appealing, especially like that, you know, I come from a long line of men as well that really liked women, and I was one of them. You know, my head doesn't whip around like the way it used to. It go, all right, she's pretty, so what? You know, it's like I don't fucking care anymore. She's probably a nutcase anyhow. Oh well, keep moving.
You gotta
My
pull
head
that
still
thing,
whips
man,
around
you see
pretty
what
quick.
she's wearing, and then your wife looks too, and like, I can't believe she's wearing that. You know, but you're checking her out the whole time. Do that all the time.
Oh yeah, right. Who would wear a thong to a public pool?
Right? Could you? What nerve?
Absolutely disgusting.
I mean, look at her.
Right?
Just stare at her.
You know what?
Really
I'm gonna
stare
get
at
a picture of it just so I don't forget about this moment. My head whips around pretty quick still. I'm single with no kids. It's okay.
All right.
Oh, man, that's absolutely okay.
Yeah. What's the way it goes? The just because that's not what I'm dining on doesn't mean I won't look at the menu.
Absolutely. You just can't order.
Exactly. Oh shoot. So you brought up your friendship with Novak, and he talked a lot about his dad. So did you kind of have a lot of intermingling with all that too, and a lot of the friends, and you know, even Bam coming to visit and everything else?
I never got to meet Bam. That was kind of like so when I met Novak, we were both skateboarding. I spent the night at his house a few times. I did have the pleasure of meeting his father. Well, the drunk father.
Right.
He really wouldn't say much to anybody coming in the house. And if he did, it wasn't very nice. And we would just go into his room and hang out in his room, or we'd just leave and just go skateboarding. And then when we came home, we would just go back into his room and sleep and wake up the next day and go back skateboarding. Right. That's what we did. So there was plenty of times where Brandon would get completely shit-faced to unconscious point, and we would have to load him up in my car and take him to his house and put him on the porch and ring the doorbell and leave. Because we at least knew he was home, and if somebody rang the doorbell, they would get him. But we didn't want to be a part of any of that at that point, because he had went from, you know, smoking pot and drinking just to the heroin in high school.
Yeah. Right.
And I wasn't a part, that just for me, that he was taking it too far for me at that point. You know, I was like, man, how can you party like that? I'd rather just smoke a blunt and drink some beer and mess around with some girls. And he was getting to the point where he was passing out and, you know, not knowing what the hell's going on, and waking up the next day and not remembering a goddamn thing. At that point in my addiction, that was way too much for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, I mean, we both lived basically, I mean, even though his father was there, he wasn't there. So we had that kind of common connection. My father wasn't there. We both loved skateboarding. He obviously loved it a little bit more than me, because he lived, ate, and breathed skateboarding. And when he called me to go skateboarding, I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to go skate with Brandon. Oh, by the way, we're going to meet Bucky down at Fuddruckers down in Inner Harbor, and we're going to go skate down the city. Hell yeah, I'm going. Like, thanks for calling me, right?
Yeah.
So I thought I was pretty cool hanging out with those guys. But, you know, as far as his home life, I got Miss Pat. I remember her, you know, she'd fix us dinner and stuff like that. She was always very, extremely nice to us. And I just got to see her 2 weeks ago when I went to the Novak house 1 year celebration. And it just happened to be my 8-month celebration of being sober. And I was like, hi, Miss Pat, how you doing? And she looks at me and she's like, who are you? And I was like, I'm Timmy. And I took off my hat and I was like, I haven't seen you in 30 years. And she's like, oh, Timmy from down the street, I remember you. I was like, oh, cool, okay. She's like, I'm so glad you're sober, honey. She goes, I'm so glad to see you. She's like, I'm really proud of you. So that was really cool. But it's kind of funny because she's my mom's age. My mom's 72, so I think she's around the same age. And my mom doesn't remember half of my friends now.
I'm sure. Probably wanted to forget some of the shit you guys pulled.
Yeah, dude, because I was one of the popular kids in school, you would say. And my house, I had the in-ground pool, and, you know, my mom had parties all the time, like get-togethers, not parties. My mom didn't party, but she'd have get-togethers. And I was the house that we would cut school and go to my house and go swimming during the day. And I'd have all the girls over, and we would drink beer out of the refrigerator downstairs that my stepdad had. And, you know, I was the cool house to go hang out with. So that was kind of like my introduction to having girls come over and being the popular kid that everybody wanted to hang out with. And, you know, after high school, when I kind of lost that popularity, that internally hurt me.
Yeah.
You know, because joining the Marines, nobody's popular. They're all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have one or two few that stick out above the rest. And I fortunately was one of those guys that stuck out. But in a mass of thousands and thousands, you barely stick out. You're pretty much all the same. And I lost that kind of, my ego kind of left.
Yeah.
I wasn't that look at me guy anymore. It was like, well, why do I got to look at you? You got 10 more of you guys over there. You know, so that hurt my ego big time. And I dealt with depression in the Marines as well. I kind of drank that away and hung out with a group of guys that made me kind of forget about that, you know, because a lot of us, believe it or not, in the military come from broken homes or addict-fueled homes. So we all had that common bond, that brotherhood. And I still talk to about 10 of those guys that I served with, and we all talk to each other. And if we're down and out, we'll call each other. And, you know, one of the coolest things about this whole recovery process right now is I did a podcast last week. Yesterday, I get a phone call from a guy I served with 25 years ago. I haven't spoken to him since 1995. And he calls me And he's like, is this Tim? I was like, yeah, Tim, what's up? He's like, hey, man. He said, this is Tony. I was like, from the Marines? He's like, yeah, man. I was like, what's up? He's like, I'm not doing good. I was like, what's going on? He's like, man, I'm eating about 20 Percocets a day, 10s. I'm like, are you serious? He goes, yeah, I've been doing it for about 15 years. He's like, but I'm 5 days sober. I said, what the hell? How are you 5 days sober? He said, I listened to your podcast.
Wow.
And I said, what? He said, man, he said, you have no idea what that did for me. He's like, I've been contemplating getting sober for over a decade. He said, but what you said really hit me. He said, that word hope that you said you found, and that hopelessness that you lived in, and not to give up, but to get up, he said, really hit me. He's like, and I woke up that next day. He said, and I told myself I wasn't going to take Percocets today. He said, and I made it throughout that whole day. He said, and I've done that for the last 4 days. He goes, and today's day 5. He goes, and I haven't picked up today. And he goes, and I just need you to know that it was because of you and your podcast and what you said that really hit home. He goes, and I'm done. I don't want to live this life anymore. He said, I've hurt my family, my friends, my wife, my kids. He said, and I want to move forward now with my life. He goes, I'm in my 40s. He said, I should be dead now from all the drugs I've done over the years. He said, and I just want to thank you for sharing your story. He said, because it just really hit home for me and I'm ready to change. I'm doing this so other people know that that deep, dark, hopeless feeling that you get, you don't have to let it hold you there. You don't have to let it keep you on your knees. There is a way out. You can get help if you want the help. You know, a lot of people go to rehab and they don't want the help. They're there for court reasons or their family members made them do it. And unfortunately, those people usually come back in a couple times until they get it. But until you want it, there's nothing I can say or do, or no amount of money I can put out and get you in these rehabs. Nothing's going to stick until deep down inside you actually want that help and you're ready for that change in your life.
Yeah. No, I'm a testament of it, and so many other people. That is for damn sure.
That's incredible about your Marine buddy, though. Jeez.
Yeah.
Dude, I was floored. I brought tears to my eyes when he called me.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, if I could help one person, which I think I just did, again, you can't put a price on that. That is an amazing feeling. And I'm just getting a tiny, tiny taste of what Brandon must feels like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
He's helped so many people that reciprocation of being able to go back and help those that you love, people that you've grown up with, family, childhood friends. It's a feeling of purpose now. I feel like I have a purpose again.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel my life was worth anything. And now I think I have found my purpose in life, and that is to spread the message of hope and recovery to those that need to hear it.
Hell yeah, man.
That's incredible.
Oh, that's badass.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's my life has changed. It's every aspect of my life has changed.
I can mirror that. I know what you're talking about. It's like and the funny thing, I was doing some writing, Tim. I don't know if you still do, and normally I'll write like a page or two. As this guy knows, I talk way too fucking much. What are you gonna do?
Way too much.
But it was one of the quickest like entries. I started to write and then I stopped, and at the bottom of the page was, my life has changed so drastically, and I believe my recollection is I either put praise God or thank you God. I can't remember what it was. And it was like all the shit that we've been through now to sit, like you said, and just feel a sense of purpose, and that's like, okay. And it's not, and when you feel that, like probably when this gentleman called you, it's not the ego that's filled anymore though.
No, it's much deeper.
Yeah.
Ego is a facet. It's just in your head. This hit me in my heart, man. Yeah. Like this, I felt that that warm feeling again come over my body of hope. You know, it was like, wow, my words actually may have helped somebody or saved their life from addiction. How amazing.
Yeah, not just your words, but all the shit that you went through to get to where you're at now. So all that stuff that was for me to reflect when we've had people say very gracious things to Mikey and myself. Was like, all of it was worth it.
Right.
That's how I reconcile it. All of it was worth it. All the shitty behavior, all the stuff that I have to own. I can't blame, this person, that, or she was this way or whatever, but no, my actions,
Yeah. And in rehab, I was down on myself for a while. Why did I steal from my mother? Why did I lie to my wife? Why did I miss work or mess up? I'm a carpenter. So I'd be like, why did I not do that job properly? And I just didn't care.
Mm.
I just really didn't care about anybody but myself. I would go to work and couldn't wait till 3 p.m. because I literally left work and went right to the liquor store. And I was waiting for that euphoria of the liquor to come over me. And then now I was like, okay, well, now I can just go home and chill for the rest of the night. All my responsibilities were out the window after that first drink. It was like, I don't have to worry about reality anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that
why would we?
The life that I have now, you couldn't have told me 9 months ago that I would have. And it's only been 9 months. I can't imagine what's to come for me. I thought I was just destined to be a drunk carpenter and possibly single and have my kids on the weekends and just barely getting by. And now I actually think that good things are coming my way, and it's not because I deserve them, it's because I'm putting in the work. And when you put out good, actually good comes back. And I didn't believe that before. I never believed in karma or what you put out into the world, you get back. But man, I was putting out some shit stuff for a very long time. And I was eating shit for a very long time. And I thought, oh, poor me. I just got bad luck. No, it's what I was putting out is what I'm getting back. The recovery process is a lot different than being just sober. I know a lot of people that are sober and are fucking miserable.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't drink, they don't drug, but they complain about their job. They complain about their spouse. They complain about their children, their neighbor. They complain about everything. I have learned to accept a lot more in my life and to let things go that really should not be held on to.
It's a tough, hard thing to do, but it's imperative.
It is. It is imperative. Holding on to things are only going to drag you down. They're only going to put you back into that place where you just came from. And what a shame that would be to not bring in the gift of recovery and acceptance and patience and humility that has been given to me. They say one of the worst things about getting sober is you have to deal with your feelings. But the best thing is you got to deal with your feelings. It's a double-edged sword. But I would rather feel now than feel numb.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, and I went through a phase there where it was, and maybe for you early on, I didn't understand really what was reality either within my feelings, because the feelings are a mechanism of processing stuff and giving us relevance. And it was kind of like, I miss this person. Wait, am I missing this person because I'm on an emotional low right now because I'm not drunk? Or, it's like, I didn't know, my elbow from my ass, it was just a confusion, a constant state of confusion at first.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like you're constantly trying to have to feed that beast with adrenaline or egotistical things like, does that girl think I'm pretty? Or, am I doing enough over here? Now I know what I have to do and I get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't care about people's opinions anymore. Man, I used to care about everybody's opinions. Now I don't give a shit. I just worry about Tim.
That is such an important lesson. And I was a big people pleaser. And it's still kind of one of my defects that I have to check. Okay, am I doing this to be people pleasing, or am I doing this because this is a boundary and you're not crossing my freaking boundary?
Yeah. And I would always post things on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and wait for responses or wait for likes, and oh man, they like me, or oh cool, I got comments over here and comments over there. And again, it goes back to the monetary thing. None of that matters. It really truly doesn't. You're just feeding that part of you that wants acceptance in any way that you can get it. The only acceptance I want now is my family loving me, and accept me for who I am, accept me for that. I am an alcoholic. I am in recovery, and I'm trying to make things better. And I am going to take it one day at a time. I'm not going to look into the future, and I'll do what I have to do today to stay sober and to be the man, the husband, the son, the father that I know I could be.
Well, I gotta say, it's really great to talk with you. Such a switched on person that's got a really great perspective about it all.
Yeah.
And
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. And that word perspective is huge. My perspective on everything has changed.
Yeah.
Everything. I was an extremely aggressive driver before. Everything pissed me off. Everything. Why'd you change like that? Where's your blinker? I guess that model doesn't come with a blinker. Why are you on my ass? And somebody in rehab told me, it might have been one of the counselors. They were like,
I need to listen to this.
A driver who gets mad. I'm like, man, a bunch of people. She's like, did you ever think the guy that cut you off in front of you maybe got a call that his mom died?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Or that his son or daughter was in a car accident? I was like, no. She's like, or maybe he is just an asshole. But have you ever thought of the possibility that maybe he's got some bad news and he's flustered and he can't concentrate on the road? I was like, no. She said, you never know who's in that vehicle. So just stay in your lane, keep you to you, and just get home. Because that guy has nothing to do with you. Yeah, he may have pissed you off, may have cut you off, but we don't know what's going on in that man's life or that woman's life.
Yeah, we forget that a lot, and we need to get outside of ourselves, but yet not sit in ourselves too much at the same time. And go like you go to the grocery store, maybe the checker is a little bit quiet. It might seem rude to you, but same kind of thing. Could have been a really bad day. We don't know. And so I think giving that grace, and just like you said with your life, what you've put out there now is coming back tenfold, and we can do that in every situation with people.
I got to start telling myself that too, because I'm a very aggressive driver, especially when we're in LA, man. Like
I couldn't imagine LA. Baltimore, Maryland's pretty damn bad. I'd probably have a couple more months before I'd be able to tell myself that in LA.
Yeah, dude. Like this guy knows I'm yelling the entire time. I'm just like, I'll make it a point to get on their ass. I'm not changing lanes. You're changing lane. You're the one going slow, not me. You know what I mean? So maybe I could factor in some.
Move it, you dick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, hey, Tim, you've heard a couple episodes, so we like to jump to some fun random questions and just get a little lighthearted at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and go first on this one.
I was going to say, I don't even want to do these questions because
I know.
the story was so like heartwarming, like just how it ended. You're obviously not ended, but how it is right now, how great you're doing, and your oldest, except like being proud of you, we're proud of you, all that stuff. You're doing fantastic, and it's like I don't even want to fuck around with questions, but we will because it's tradition. So here we go.
Well, he's a fun guy. We got to show all aspects of personality, right?
Fuck it.
Let's do it.
You mentioned, you competed in MMA, but what is Tim's top sport then? Like, if you were to get some actual TV time for yourself, what is it you're going to watch if schedules aren't an option?
Fortunately, it's going to be boxing or MMA or karate or jiu-jitsu or something like that. I'm still very into all of that stuff. I haven't trained any of those in a while. My last fight, I tore my rotator cuff and I had to have surgery. And then I hurt my neck. I had to have 2 neck surgeries. I had to have 2 rhizotomies in my neck. So at 35, that's when my wife was like, "You're done." She's like, "You're not quitting." She's like, "You're not 20 years old. You're 35." But believe it or not, since I have been sober and since March, I'm actually competing in April in my first bodybuilding show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going to follow my mother's footsteps. My uncle in the 70s was Mr. Universe.
Oh, no shit.
And for 3 years in a row. So in the 70s, there was no Mr. Olympia. Mr. Universe was the man.
Right.
In the early 80s is when they switched over to Mr. Olympia. They still have Mr. Universe, Mr. USA, but Mr. Universe was the shit. And my uncle was from 76, I think, to 79 was Mr. Universe. His son, my cousin, was Mr. Maryland here in Maryland a couple of years in a row. My mother won Miss Maryland and a whole bunch of stuff in the 80s. I've always wanted to do it. And the last 9 months, I have been in the gym 5 days a week. My diet's completely strict. No sweets. The only thing I drink is frickin' water. And I do have a diet Sprite with dinner, but there's no calories, no sugar, nothing like that. But I need to do this for myself. I'm at the point where I have to do these things I've always wanted to do. And the only thing holding me back was me and my alcoholism. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't have that thing holding me back anymore. And I'm so determined to do this that I can't even stand my own way. Like I'm going to do this. I don't care if I win, come in 10th place, 15th place, doesn't matter. The fact that I'm going to get on that stage sober, I've already won.
I got to ask, who is your uncle?
His name was Joe Arizzi.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the 70s, if you look him up, you'll be able to see he was a big dude, man. I mean, I was probably 3 or 4 at that time because I was born in 76. So I just remember he had a Corvette and he was the big muscle guy in the family. And he was a really damn good looking dude. And like all the women liked him and stuff like that. And I remember thinking that was really cool.
Right.
Like, man, he's got a Corvette. He had a Harley. He had big muscles. He had all these beautiful women around him. Like, that's awesome.
He's probably compete with like Franco Colombo and all those guys then.
All those guys. Yeah, actually, Samir Bannout, who was Olympian in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think he was 3 years in a row or maybe 81, 82 or something like that. He used to stay at my house a lot.
I'll be damned.
When he came to Maryland, since my mom was in the competitive bodybuilding circuit, he would need places to stay. So he would stay at my house. I have pictures of him when I was a little child. And that guy was only like 5'5".
Right.
And he was like 250 pounds, like a brick shit house.
Yeah.
That's crazy because Jason was actually going to enter a bodybuilding contest as well. So
yeah, okay, go ahead, man.
Well, I'm 6'3", about like 170 soaking wet. So
he weighs as much as my right leg.
But ironically, I love that late 70s, early 80s era of bodybuilding. I don't know why.
What year was Lou Ferrigno? When was that?
He was the late 70s, early 80s.
Late 70s, early 80s, yeah.
Being that you're a fighter, I got a fighting question. Would you rather fight 1 horse-sized chicken or 10 chicken-sized horses?
I want the horse-sized chicken.
Dumbass question.
The horse-sized chicken, because I'll take out his fucking little legs.
Oh gosh. Oh, those are always the gnarly answers. Mine would be like
able to stand, and then he's done. Now just pound him.
You could tell who the savages are by the answer of that.
That is such a great fighter question or answer, though. You take out the man's leg.
Break, man. I'll take his legs out, and then he won't be able to do a goddamn thing.
Knocking that chicken on his ass.
Those horses are thick, man.
If you were stranded on a deserted island, oddly, you could play a movie and a music album. What one movie and what one music album would you take with you?
Music album's got to be Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin 4.
Love Zepp.
They're my favorite.
Get the lead out, baby.
Movie, man. This is going to sound so. I'm not going to say the word, but so girly.
Okay.
Dude, I love The Notebook, dude.
Do you?
Hey, it's a feel-good movie.
Dude, it's got a little bit of everything in it.
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
It's got love, it's got comeback. And at the end, you get to live your life with the woman that you love, and every once in a while, she comes back to you. Dude, that's awesome.
Hey, you know what? No judgment at all. My dad was giving me shit the other day because I told him I loved the movie The Devil Wears Prada. I like that movie.
Every
Meryl
time I
Streep?
come on, I watch it, and my wife's like, "Really? Again?" I was like, "It's a cool movie."
I don't care what anybody says. Meryl Streep is a fantastic actress. I freaking love her.
I will tell you, if I had to pick a comedy, man, the other guys with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell.
Love
Every
Will
time
Ferrell.
that comes on, I laugh. She's like, "You've seen this 100 times." I see it, but it's funny every single time I see it.
All right.
The guy can pee from 6 feet away. You got to see it, Ellen. You got to. But he's so serious about it.
He's like, "For real, who are you?" No, for real. Stop messing around.
Speaking of movies, if they were to make one about you, who would you cast to play yourself?
I've been told back in the day, I used to look like Ben Affleck a lot.
I see
He's a
that.
good-
Ben Affleck. Okay.
He's a good actor.
See that.
If we go younger, I would want somebody up and coming that nobody knows, so he can make a mark for himself.
Now, I could see Ben would do it good as a guy that's also gone through addiction issues and everything else. Like he could step into that role really good.
Yeah.
Alcoholism, yep, it's
Yep.
his finest.
Plus, he's one of those guys that it's like, I always, when people bulk up, like, how the fuck do you do that? Where he could immediately get into good shape, and play that part.
I know how he does it.
Well, good point. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
As a teenage boy, I used to want X-ray vision, like all men, probably,
I still kind of do.
right? I would want to be able to heal, like
Oh, yeah.
always be able to heal, because I don't want to feel pain anymore, man. Physical, mental, spiritually, I want to be able to heal from everything.
It's a beautiful answer. I used to give Jason shit because we would ask each other these questions and I'd be like, man, I want to teleport. Just bam, I'm in New York. Bam, I'm in Texas. I don't got to go through flying and sitting in a seat, whatever. Like, I just want to teleport. Jason, what about you? I want to be able to heal people. I'm like, well, now I feel like a fucking asshole.
Is that what you said, really?
That's what
Well,
I
I
said.
want to heal. I'll be able to heal other people. Like,
Okay.
I could just step in and somebody has like a great affliction, or I
Immediately took the wind out of my
Yeah.
sail.
Whoa, what kind of took it out of mine? Because I'm thinking about myself. He's thinking about other people.
Hey, man, there's no wrong answers.
there's no wrong answer. Yeah, Tim, you dick. Gosh.
Right? It's all about you.
Well, I'm one of those guys. Like, I loved my grandmas, and I saw them both die in pain, and I was in the room with my maternal grandmother, and had just left when my dad's mom passed. So it was like, if I could have done something to have eased that, even knowing that eventually they would pass, it's like, so yeah. So healing. Okay. I'm the asshole now.
No, I think you got me. You're good.
One more real quick. Skateboarding. I've skateboarded for 16 years, so I love it, and I love conversing with other skateboarders as well. Who was your favorite skateboarder growing up?
It was Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had the pink helmet. I had the black pads.
Did
I had all
your
the-
helmet have the ear come over the ears?
Yeah.
Do you still have that?
I wish I still had that.
Dude, I would love to have one of those, the old school Pro Tech ones.
That's exactly what I wish I still had my old decks, man. I used to have like 20 old decks, and see how much they're freaking worth now, even all used.
Dude.
It's ridiculous.
My buddy's got a box of they're not brand new, obviously, but the old Thrashers, like the Jay Adams article Thrashers,
Really?
that don't look like they've ever been touched. And he doesn't even
Holy shit.
skate. If I wasn't such a nice guy, I'd go rob him, because it's just
Dude,
like, I
they're-
wouldn't even sell them. I just want them in my possession because I appreciate it. You know
Dude, that's
what I mean?
history right there.
It's history. Yeah. I don't even think he realized. Oh, no, he probably does realize how big of a deal it is, because I've told him multiple times.
Before I ask you for words of inspiration, as if your whole conversation with you, I mean, we literally sat back. We're just, I know for me, I was just like, man, I'm in awe of you, Tim. This is
It's the most quiet I've seen him in years.
Yeah. That's humbling, brother.
Yeah, if you wonder what superpower you got, it's the power to shut me the fuck up and open my ears.
I need you to come to LA with us a couple times out of the month.
I've never been to LA, man. I'm on my way.
Really? Oh,
I've
shit,
never
man.
been. I've always wanted to come.
Come to the West Coast, brother.
If you had to kind of put it in a little shell, what kind of words of advice, maybe people that are seeking recovery or just starting their recovery, or, hey, that share for the person that's been in it 20 years, but, giving them a little bit of your wisdom that you think you could offer?
I think the biggest thing I would say to anybody still suffering or contemplating giving up is don't lose hope. There's always hope. As long as you have hope, you can overcome anything. You know, I forgot that for a very long time. I thought it was impossible to have it again. I thought I was destined to die from this disease. When that overcoming feeling of hope came over me, I knew everything was going to be okay for me from here on out. So don't give up, get up, don't lose hope. Everything can change and everything will be all right.
Thanks, brother.
Perfect.
We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It's an honor.